burdensome regulations. Meanwhile, instead of joining us in making America secure and competitive, deranged Democrats are accosting security guards outside federal buildings, interfering with ICE deporting illegal aliens, and even providing instructions on how to evade deportation. And guess what they say is the new constitutional crisis? Ending taxpayer funding for sex changes in Guatemala and other outrageous initiatives. Give me a break. Come on. 77 million people rejected the insanity last November, and they still are defending it. Hopefully, they will continue to defend this insanity. Speaking of defending insanity, the government is bloated. President Trump and House Republicans will right-size it. We want to make America more competitive, and the left is outraged. Why aren't they outraged when a father of 4 gets laid off because of government overreach? Most people never get the option to have a buyout when their business is forced to close. But when it's a government employee making north of 6 figures who doesn't even show up to the office, Democrats lose their minds. They didn't seem to mind when Democrat President Bill Clinton offered thousands of federal employee buyouts. Millions of Americans are cheering for these cuts to waste, fraud, and abuse. Only extreme Democrats seem to have issue with it. Additionally, those millions of Americans are cheering for President Trump's tariff negotiations. It has proven his effectiveness in this arena time and time again, and this one will be no different. President Trump is sending a message to the world, and it's really simple. Compete fairly or pay the price. A fallen Border Patrol officer, Raul Gonzalez. The bill, named after him, would prevent illegal immigrants who flee Border Patrol from ever being admitted into the United States. Officer Gonzalez lost his life in a high-speed chase near the border. He was chasing fleeing illegal immigrants. Let me be clear. Illegal immigrants who flee Border Patrol should never get a green card. It is unfortunate that 154 Democrats disagreed when they voted against the similar bill last Congress. They are voting against America's security. But they have another chance, because this week we will pass the Agent Raul Gonzalez Officer Safety Act, with or without their support. It is a shame that Democrats want to reward these illegal criminals. But while Republicans want to detain, deport, and keep them from threatening our communities, we will do just that. This is common sense legislation. And if you cross the border illegally and cause harm during a high-speed chase, you should never be admitted to the United States or offered asylum. This bill sends a message to illegal aliens, drug traffickers, and smugglers, the bad guys. You threaten the American lives, and you will face the full consequences of the law. We must protect our law enforcement officers. 6 other agents died that same year as Officer Raul Gonzalez did. Imagine for a moment getting that call that your loved one wouldn't be returning home because they were chasing someone who was here illegally. And then, to top it off, the illegal aliens that they were chasing were allowed to stay here. It's terrible. It's disgusting. And it won't continue. Who in their right mind could support this? We will find out later this week. And I would suggest maybe the Democrats that vote against this bill can start calling the loved ones of the fallen officers. Perhaps that's a good idea. And maybe that would change their mind. I'm not sure if it would. Now, we're going to hear from a member who knows firsthand the devastating impact of the border crisis. Another patriot wanting to make America secure. And now I turn it over to my friend, Rep. Abe Hamadeh from Arizona.
Thank you, Chairwoman, and thank you to the leadership team, Speaker Johnson, Leader Scalise, and Whip Emmer, and Chairwoman McClain. You know, you all have been fantastic. I've been prioritizing the border since day one, since I took office on January 3rd, and we know that President Trump, that's his first actions as well. And as a former prosecutor from Arizona and a veteran myself, I know that keeping our communities safe is the #1 priority of the Republican majority. And I've seen firsthand how cartels and smugglers are exploiting the disastrous border crisis created by the Biden administration. Under the Biden administration, we hit catastrophic numbers, nearly 3 million border crossings in 2024 alone, bringing over 11 million encounters from when Biden took office. Now, that's more than the entire population of Minnesota and Louisiana combined. And now we've seen under President Trump's leadership, 95% decrease in border encounters in just a few weeks. It's amazing what strong and tough leadership actually does and what following the law does. And that's what the Republican majority is committed to doing. Now, the Agent Raul Gonzalez Officer Safety Act, of which I'm a proud co-sponsor, being led by another fellow Arizonan, Congressman Juan Ciscomani. Now, it's personal for Arizona and for me. Now, these high-speed pursuits are not merely statistics. Criminal illegal aliens are putting our communities and law enforcement officers at risk every single day. And now with President Trump's designation of the cartels as a foreign terrorist organization on January 20th, we finally have the tools to treat these barbarians like the terrorists they are. We have to kill the cartels. And this bill does one simple thing. If you flee from Border Patrol, you do hard time in jail. No more catch and release, no more games with our immigration laws. And if you're here illegally and you flee, you're gone. No asylum, no benefits, no second chances. Seems pretty common sense to me and to the American people. Now, that's exactly what the American people asked for in November when they voted overwhelmingly for Republicans. Now, this bill passed with bipartisan votes in the last Congress, as the chairwoman recognized. And there's no reason it shouldn't receive even more support this time. And it probably will. It probably will, because the Democrats got shellacked on November 5th, and now they want to stay relevant, so they're trying to act a little bit more moderate than they truly are. But we've seen under their direction leadership that they created this border crisis. And for too long, so many in the media tried to paint it as Republicans were being racist by calling it an invasion. We understand that it was an invasion, and that's exactly why President Trump, this Republican majority, is focused on fixing it very quickly. Now, the American people are demanding action on the border crisis we inherited, and that is exactly what House Republicans are doing to fix it. Thank you.
Thanks, Abe. $20 million for a Sesame Street show in Iraq. $1.5 million to promote LGBT advocacy in Jamaica. $2 million for sex changes and LGBT activism in Guatemala. $1.5 million to advance diversity, equity, and inclusion in Serbia's workplaces and business communities. The list of absurdities bankrolled by hardworking U.S. taxpayers goes on and on. But no more. President Donald Trump is delivering on his promise to shake up the status quo in Washington by ensuring the federal government is accountable to the American people who actually fund it. Through DOGE, millions of wasted and mismanaged taxpayer dollars have already been exposed, and countless inefficient and unnecessary government positions have been identified. And they're only just beginning. What they've uncovered so far is shocking. And this is, again, only the beginning. As DOGE continues to root out waste, fraud, and abuse within our federal government, our House Republican majority stands ready to ensure that our laws follow through on the mandate given to us in November to do the same. Meanwhile, Democrats in Congress are threatening to shut down the government over policies they simply do not like. One senator even claimed the accounting of the federal government's spending abroad is a constitutional crisis. This is delusional. The Democrat Party's tantrums are exactly why they hold no majority in Congress, and their candidate is not in the White House. DOGE is rightly pulling back the curtains that have been closed for years, and the outrage we are seeing across the aisle is baffling but not surprising, given their record of mismanagement of taxpayer dollars. Americans see DOGE for what it is, a promise made and a promise kept. That's why President Trump's approval rating during his first 3 weeks in office have surpassed all expectations. The golden age of America is here, and we're just getting started. With that, our leader, Steve Scalise.
Thank you, Whip. We are just getting started, and it's a new day, and you're already seeing the benefits of President Trump's aggressive approach towards turning Washington back to the people, standing up for the people of this country that have been beaten down, that have been struggling under the failed policies of Joe Biden and Kamala Harris for the last 4 years. And it's been at a rapid pace. You know, if you compare Donald Trump's first month in office in 2017 to what you're seeing today, you're watching a much more focused and aggressive president who came to Washington to finally stand up and fight for those families who have been struggling. And he's taking the lessons from his first term and delivering bigger results, faster results for the American people. If you look at some of the things we're working on right now, obviously the budget is something you may ask the speaker about. I don't know, maybe 1 or 2 questions, but it's something we've been spending a lot of time on because it is the way that we're going to be delivering some of the biggest commitments that were made during the election. Some of the biggest things that President Trump wants to accomplish are included in our reconciliation plan. If you think about it, there are a lot of bills out there, a lot of ideas out there. There's only one plan that delivers all of the commitments and priorities that President Trump has, and that's the House plan. If you think about what we're trying to do with first getting a budget, then getting a reconciliation bill, it's going to be to deliver for border security, making sure that we can build the wall, making sure that we give our Border Patrol agents the tools they need, night vision goggles, other technology like drones, so that they can more safely and effectively protect and secure America's border from the massive flow of illegals that we saw the last 4 years. We're going to produce more American energy. Yes, in the Gulf of America, in Anwar, and every point in between. We're going to deliver in that big, beautiful bill more American energy that was shut off by the Biden administration, who coddled foreign countries, made us more dependent on foreign energy. We're going to reverse that and allow our country to deliver again, not just creating more jobs, not just lowering costs for families at the pump and at the grocery store, which it will do, but allowing us to be energy independent again and help our allies around the world again. Exporting LNG, for example, when Biden said no to that, we're going to be saying yes, which, again, lowers costs here at home. And then we're going to ensure that there are no Americans that see a tax increase. If Biden got his way, if Kamala Harris got her way, if the Democrats who are in the minority got their way, the American people would see a multi-trillion-dollar tax increase. House Republicans are not going to let that happen. That's part of our bill, is to continue the tax cuts from 2017, keeping those rates stable, adding on the priorities that President Trump talked about in the campaign, like no tax on tips, and giving real certainty to our economy to create more jobs, to bring more investment into America. That's what we're fighting to do. And indicated they may go as early as Thursday of this week in Budget Committee to start this process. But we're not going to stop working on this until it gets done. Failure is not an option. We're also going to continue bringing bills to the floor, and I think you heard Lisa McClain talk in detail about the bills we're bringing. Look, when you think about this idea of illegals coming here fleeing law enforcement and the harm it's caused, deaths it's caused to Border Patrol agents and others, finally bringing a bill to make that a deportable offense. That's a bill that got a lot of bipartisan votes last year when we brought it, but Chuck Schumer said he wasn't going to even allow it to come up for a vote last year. Well, again, it's a new day in the Senate. and Senator Thune and his majority are going to bring that bill to the floor when we send it over to him, and that will have a really good chance of getting to President Trump's desk, like the Lake and Riley Act, where the president will be able to sign more legislation just in his first few weeks in office to deliver on those promises of securing America's border. The man who's been leading our efforts and working closely with President Trump to get this agenda moved forward is our Speaker, Mike Johnson.
Thanks so much, Mr. Leader, and to this leadership team, to Abe Hamadeh, one of the most talented new members of Congress. Glad you're participating this morning. It is a busy morning here and a great time in America. We were delighted to host President Trump in the Superdome on Sunday. First time a sitting president has attended a Super Bowl. As you saw when they put his image up on the Jumbotron,
Mike Johnson est leader républicain yo au niveau de la Chambre des députés qui a expliqué activité que y a organisé, loi que y a voté, l'autre que y a proposé aux députés de la République, ensuite voyé au bail Sénat qui lui-même doit faire travail par les rappeler difficultés, barrières que y a gagné, obstacles qui étaient en face yo dans le cas d'exécution plein on lui parle encore, c'était présence démocrate dans le contrôle au niveau du Sénat de la République selon le président de la Chambre des députés, M. Mike Johnson, que nous invitons à écouter l'autre fois encore.
theme of restoring common sense around here. As I said last week, the Democratic Party is in a completely different place right now. There's no identified leader of the party. They don't have a clear vision. They seem rudderless.
Donc ça c'est position républicaine dès qu'il s'agit des démocrates qui pour yo pas gagner plan, yo pas gagner vision, yo pas gagner leader d'après position républicaine qui a analysé situation équipe démocrate là journée jeudi. Donc madame monsieur ou bon chez réseau pour la Pstars radio télévision nous espérer gagner leader républicain
finding themselves, they've latched onto this new shiny object called the rule of law. Well, we'd like to welcome them to the concept. It would be admirable if they hadn't spent the last 4 years with their heads buried in the sand, ones of doctors and lawyers, when they illegally mandated that private companies implement vaccine requirements, when they radically rewrote Title IX to undermine women's rights. Those things were actually illegal, and the Democratic Party cheered it.
Bon, c'est un fight au niveau de la Chambre des députés entre légal et illégal par rapport à la décision que yo permettent pouvoir exécutif l'emprunt qui c'est des décisions qui prélevaient deux autorités sénateurs et démocrates et alors parle députés alors n'a pas les députés démocrates et républicains. Excusez-nous pour erreur, c'est comme nous dit deux décisions qui concernaient le Parlement. Le Parlement implique le Sénat et la Chambre des députés dans la décision que l'État de prendre, et bien il y a là qui permettent que le pouvoir exécutif là il prend tant qu'au budget qui finit voter, l'argent qui alloué à des organismes, à des ministères ou à des sections en dedans budget et que pouvoir exécutif là décider la soit éliminer ou bien li a peut transférer dans l'autre secteur sans l'aval du Congrès. Ça yo pas existé moun qui connaît loi qui connaît fonctionnement gouvernement connaît tout bonnement les lois budget à fin voté ou bien les budgets à fin voté li tout non loi c'est seul le Congrès qui gagne changement que le cap fait là-dedans qui gagne décision majeure que le cap mais le pouvoir exécutif n'a ce droit. Cependant c'est ça qu'a fait la journée jeudi avec administration Trump David Vincent qui bloquait financial aid qui bloquait l'argent qui allait dans une série de projets études en matière de santé et autres selon information. Donc restez branchés ensemble avec nous pour capable informer plus de ce qui a passé à travers planétaire là. Probablement Michael Johnson t'a supposé répondre quelques questions journalistes mais nous pas gagné un signal là. N'a pas continuer avec vous en parole et en musique.